I didn't know that through my breath, I can actually have better health. I can be more engaged. It will make me more present. I can be more happy. And beyond that, I actually didn't even know how to breathe properly.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Think Your Way to an Epic Life. And we've got a real treat today. Sat Gurumukh is an amazing man. He's an amazing businessman, and he also does something very special for our office. He leads us in meditation like I've never been through before. It's nothing like I've ever even heard of before. It's a breathing meditation, and you can come to it once a month, and at the end he's got a free gift for everybody. But you can come to it once a month, and then you can use that meditation throughout your month until the next time you get to a class. So, Sat Gurumukh, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
It is so much fun. So this is your first podcast ever.
Yes, this is.
Okay, that's pretty fun.
Yeah,
that's fun.
I'm excited.
Oh, well, me too. So bring me back to the beginning. Where were you born?
Here in Albuquerque.
Okay.
Born and raised in Nob Hill.
Okay.
219 Amherst, which is literally like in the house I was born and on the same street that I now own stores.
Pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so you were born here in Albuquerque, and what was growing up like?
Well, my parents moved here back in 79. My mom from Mexico City, my dad from Columbus, Ohio. They're both 100% Lebanese. And they moved here because in the early 70s, they started practicing Kundalini Yoga and then ended up becoming Sikhs. They were both raised Catholic, but our spiritual teacher then had them end up moving here and starting the ashram in Albuquerque. And so I was born and raised a Sikh, and went to kindergarten and all that stuff here. But when I was 7, I actually went to boarding school in India for 9 years, for 9 months out of the year.
Wow, I had no idea. This is going to be fun. Oh, I had no idea.
You didn't know that?
No, I did not know that. Okay, so you were born here, and then, first of all, can you please define what a Sikh is?
Well, a Sikh is a religion from India. For me, it's more of a lifestyle, and it's built on 4 pillars. And the 4 pillars are Bana, Bani, Simran, Seva. Bana is the clothes you wear, the turban, the type of clothes, and you wear those clothes so that you stand out. Bani is just your daily prayers. Simran is your daily meditation. Simran means meditation. And Seva is service, right? So you do those 3 steps in order to be able to be of service. You stand out so that if somebody's in need of help, they know they can come to you. They recognize you. You do your prayer and your meditation, so you're always in that best place to be able to serve and help others. So that's the foundation of it. That's the pillars of it. People say, well, who's your God? What do you believe? And for me, it's, there's one God. God created us all, whatever you want to call it, him, her, whatever. We all come from source. We all come from that source, and it's all connected.
Okay. So when you say I was raised a Sikh, mm-hmm. That means this is your almost your livelihood. This is what you are. This is who you are.
It's a part of who I am for sure.
Okay.
Meaning I was born and raised into the lifestyle. Now, when I was younger, now it's a choice, right? Like now I chose to live it because I've had my experience with it. But when I was younger, it was like, I was just doing what I thought or what I was told. And I gave some resistance and I rebelled. And, my siblings, they were more into it at times than I was. But then I had my own experience with it. And there was always a part of it that felt like home. And so I continued to practice that and evolve in that and develop myself within that. And, I grew up with many friends, some practicing, some not practicing, but it's still, everybody feels that still a part of them, which I'm sure people do in other faiths as well.
Right. Okay, so you mentioned siblings. How many siblings?
Older brother, older sister.
You're the baby.
I am.
Oh, how fun is that?
Me and my sister are 12 years apart, but we have the same birthday.
Wow. Okay. I remember meeting your sister. She came and spoke at our
Yes, she did.
And 12 years apart. And you share the same birthday. How close are you being 12 years apart?
Super close. I mean, when I was born, she was actually going to school in India. And she received a telegram, because we didn't have what we have now then, saying, "Happy birthday, your birthday present is your new baby brother." So she, till this day, says I'm her best birthday present ever.
Oh.
And she always says, like, I was her first baby, her first child, you know. So yeah, no, we're super close. She's definitely a huge role model in my life, and also happens to be my coach, my high performance coach. So I coach with her as well. But yeah, she's definitely one of my inspirations in life.
Oh, that is so amazing to have a family that you can actually look up to the point where you submit to them as your coach. That's
yes.
That's
people
wow.
always say, how does that work? And you know, she's super professional. I feel very comfortable, and obviously she does know me. So some people say, well, don't you want them to not know you? And I guess it's a preference, you know, but at the same time, they understand the way you tick better and your thought process. And so, yeah, it is wonderful.
That's incredible. Okay, so your parents lived here, and all three of their children were sent to India for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
Who did they live with in India when they were
So
there?
it was a boarding school in India that our spiritual teacher started. And it was a different school, like from when my sister went till now when my nephew went. It's evolved. So there was about 100 kids from all over, mainly the U.S., but all over the world, some in Europe. And the school was built on, you know, the reason he sent us to school there were for a few main reasons. One is teach kids at a young age, put them in an environment that supports their lifestyle, that teaches them at a young age mind, body, spirit connection, not just academics, right? So it was yoga, meditation, marching, you know, having that discipline of marching, martial arts, you know, being immersed in the culture, you know, because back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even 2000s, I mean, even this day, it's still a little bit different, but nobody knew what a turban was. Nobody knew what a vegetarian was. People would call us diaper heads, you know, or call you Osama bin Laden or whatever it was. So it was like this gave you an opportunity to live in that strength of your faith if you wanted to.
Wow. What a gift to be able, we're going to get into how they were able to do this, you know, financially and in every other way, but what a gift to be able to have the option to be able to send your children wherever you want to. That is.
Well, I don't know if it was wherever they wanted, but it was in India. There was a lot of faith that was required to do that. And, you know, it was a very challenging experience, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. And some people loved it, and there's a lot of people who hated it, you know, so it was a mixed bag. Now, you know, before COVID, they still had the school going, and then COVID kind of shut it down. But, you know, it's so different between like when my sister went and my brother and I went compared to how it evolved now, where it's like everybody who was there was purely there because they wanted to be there and loved to be there and all that.
That's so good for, can you imagine how different that would be?
Yeah.
To be in a place where everyone wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different experience. When I was there, it was half and half. Even I was there, I didn't want to be there sometimes. You know, it was challenging. And it always took me, you know, several months before I got accustomed. Every year I had to go through this process again. You know, by the end of the year I was having a blast and I wouldn't want to go home. And then I'd go home and I'd be like, why are my parents telling me what to do? I lived the whole year without them. I don't need them telling me what to do. And then I'd be excited to go back. But then when I'd get back, it's like you had to make your place cozy again and get accustomed to the new staff members and the new students. You know, it was definitely a rich experience, and it was very challenging.
So what would you say are some of the biggest wins or takeaways that you had from that experience that you still use today?
Well, I think the exposure to everything, it puts things into perspective. Here in this country, it's like, you in India, you'll see the poor people with smiles on their face. They're homeless. You see them with smiles on their face, the simplicity of life. And here, there's so much emphasis put on the Maya, and you have to make this much money. Like, the people are just programmed to be different here. And it's not our fault. It's just the amount of access, media, everything that we have that really is shaping the psyche of the individuals, right? So I would say that was one thing that was a culture shock. India, it's very much about hospitality, service. In India, elders are so revered and respected, and here in the U.S., unless it's, somebody who's not from this country, people are putting their parents in homes. It's a very different culture where there it's like you want the wisdom of your elders. They live with you in your house until the day that they pass. You're not finding a place to go send them. So just a lot of that differences, being in that environment, learning how to take care of myself. I also got to spend incredible time, at our temple there, waking up at 2 a.m, going to the temple, cleaning the floors of the temple, dipping in the holy waters that are like very healing and all that, and being able to develop that relationship with my faith.
Right. And you are one of the most personable people I've ever known. Thank you. You're welcome. That was developed, right? Because it had to be. You left the security of mom and dad and big brother. Well, big brother and big sister were already out of school by the time you were in.
My brother wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I would say yes and no. I think that comes from my family in general. We're Lebanese. My mom's from Mexico. It's very like personable, very social, very like loving. Everything revolves around food in our family. And I think it was like, it is also like that as Sikhs. The Sikhs are known for serving, hundreds of thousands of people every day, free food at the main temple in India. Doesn't matter what walk of life. At the Golden Temple, they serve over 100,000 people free food every day. And then that happens in Gurdwaras all over the world, the Sikh temples. So that part of the faith is very strong in that, but also my parents and family, I think, were like that before they became Sikhs too.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, this is fascinating. Okay. So now you graduated and you came back, and your trips to India, no?
No.
Okay.
So after 10th grade, I came back to the States, and my body ended up getting sick. My body was diagnosed with MS when I was 16. So I didn't go back to school for 11th grade. I ended up staying here for 11th grade and doing homeschooling. And then 12th grade, they wanted me to redo all these classes, and I said, thank you, but no thank you. So I ended up getting my GED. So a big part of my journey actually started also, like my evolution was from my body being diagnosed at a young age with MS till about 4 years ago.
Okay, tell me more, please.
Okay. So, what do you want to know?
Well, you can't just tell me, this man who's sitting here very healthy, that you have MS.
Well, I don't have MS anymore.
Okay,
I had
so
MS.
How does that happen?
Well, I would say by the grace of, the divine, right? That's one way to put it. I don't think I did it on my own, between the support you have and, all these other contributing factors. But if you want me to break it down for me, it was a 16-year journey. When I was 16 and my body was diagnosed, it was about, they said, oh, this is something you're going to have to live with your whole life, and you can't ever heal yourself. And I said, F that, I don't buy it.
Yes.
So I was always on a mission to heal myself. Now, life gets the best of you, you start to grow up, you start to get older, and it's not the same when you're 16 as when you're 20, 25, 30. But what it taught me was discipline at a young age, learning to take care of my physical body at a young age, not really having an option in my mind. Yeah, sure, I had an option because I could let my body deteriorate, I could do all these things, but that wasn't my path. So when I had all these different steps in the journey, but I would say it came down to a few different things. One is you have to have the belief and the mindset that you can't heal yourself. If you don't think you can heal yourself, then, what's the whole saying? Whether you believe you can or believe you can't, either way, you're right.
Correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was part of it. The second thing was lifestyle. Choosing a healthy lifestyle, meaning eating healthy, meditating, yoga, staying active, keeping your stress minimum. I was not able to keep my stress minimum, or minimal. I, had a lot of stress. But I think all those things were contributing factors. And then certain doctors, acupuncture. Just to fast forward, and we can go into it more, but I was married, and at some point in time when I was married, because I was doing well, and by well I mean I wasn't having relapses, but I was still taking medication, and I was still developing other challenges within that from the medications, So the first 5 years I had to give myself an injection every day, and I had to pre-medicate with Tylenol or Advil every day for 5 years. Now, that was also an interesting challenge because I was so young and I didn't know what really was going to happen or not happen, but I had my parents that were very scared. Like, okay, you have to take this meditation or you could potentially not walk or not be able to see or whatever it was. So it kind of instilled this fear in me. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of against the medication. So after 5 years, I developed an allergic reaction to the medicine, and they had to switch my medicine. And they ended up putting me on a different medicine that was only 3 times a week instead of every day. Now, the reason we didn't do this medication to begin with was because some of the side effects were like depression and like all this other stuff. And so I remember when I took that medicine when I first started, it took me about 6 months to adjust, but I remember like having thoughts that were not my thoughts. Like all of a sudden I started having feelings and thoughts that I was like, where is this even coming from? And I was aware of it, but it didn't change the way I felt. So the reason I was mentioning the marriage is because at some point within the marriage and everything, like I was more focused on the marriage and the partnership that I kind of lost sight of that I wanted to actually heal myself and not be on medication. And because I was doing well, everybody's like, if it's not broken, why are you going to try and fix it? But something didn't align with me in that. Now, fast forward, I ended up getting divorced. And then my thought after maybe half a year after I was divorced, I was like, oh, I forgot. Like, this is actually really important to me to heal myself and not be on this medication. And so then that journey started. And that was again through Ayurveda was actually the main thing, and through meditation and mindset and belief. And then at some point I just said, I'm done. I mean, there were many things. It's a whole long story. If I were to get into that, it would eat up this podcast and like 3 others. But, now it's been four years and a couple months. I haven't been on any medication. I feel the best I've ever felt, have the energy that I want to have. And it, by the grace of God, it has not affected me. And when I went to go get a test done, they told me, I went and had an MRI done. And I didn't tell them I had stopped taking the medication. And they said, they got the results back and they said, you know, they did an MRI of my brain and they said, well, everything looks the same. There's just scar tissue. There's no new lesions. We just see scar tissue. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And I said, well, it's funny you mentioned that because I haven't been taking medication for the last year. And so they're like, well, you know, we'll just monitor it. I said, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's very exciting. Very good stuff. All right. So, phew, that's a lot.
Yes.
So you conquered MS by the time you were
32.
32 years old.
Well, I don't know if I conquered it by then, but I'd made the choice. I mean, that deciding to go off medication, all that, was a whole other, like, you know, challenge and defining moment in my life. Mm-hmm. You know, so it was at 32, I was just turning 32. And I actually went to a Dr. Joe Dispenza workshop retreat in Cancun. And it was all about like meditation and learning how to heal yourself, you know, through your own ability. And when I got there, I'd brought my medication. But when I got there, I also never took it. And then I decided if I really believe that I'm healed or I want to be healed, then that medication was no longer in alignment with that new self. So I just said, I'm done.
Good for you.
Yes, it was scary too.
It is scary. You know, I've got some medical issues myself that if I was to do what the medical people want me to do, pretty sure I would not be here.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's you have. So the point of this is, guys, you have to take full responsibility for your health. No one cares about your body more than you do. No one, no matter how much of a what is it? The doctor's sign to do no harm. What is that called? Whatever it is, you know what I'm talking about. They will do harm.
Yeah.
You know, because no one knows your body like you do. So you have to take responsibility.
Yeah, and I think part of it is that they don't intend to do harm, and nobody knows your body better than you. That's one thing. However, there's also like they're only trained in what they're trained in. They don't know what they don't know, and most of them don't believe what they haven't seen or hasn't been proven to them scientifically. Now, the medical system here, too, in general, is not built on making people healthy. It's built on suppressing symptoms, not going to the root cause, you know, and then it's also driven by the pharmaceutical companies and the industry. So there's a lot at play, and it's to, you know, I think there is a strong place for Western medicine. However, it's not the, you know, end all be all.
Absolutely. Please don't take offense. Anybody who's in Western medicine, I don't mean it to be offensive. I really don't. If I was in a car wreck and broke my leg, let me tell you, I'd be like, please, doctor, handle this, put me back together, you know, sew me up. However, like you said, there's so much more that people don't know. Have you read Tony Robbins and Peter Diamandis' book, Life Force?
No, but I know of it, and I was just watching something on it too.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah,
it is fascinating how much and the information is coming so fast that there's no one who can keep up with it. However, who's the most motivated to understand muscular dystrophy? Or, you know, like the person who has it. That's who's going to want to know the most. They're going to do the most research. So good for you.
Yeah. It's technology has come so far now. I think part of the challenge is that I don't think most Western medical doctors are in tune and aligned with is so much of what they do and what they prescribe or what they quote unquote diagnose, a lot of the outcome of that patient is in the delivery of the doctor. Mm-hmm. So if a doctor comes to you and tells you you have no hope, well, chances are you're going to feel that. And if you take that into your being, chances are you're not going to have as much hope as if they delivered it in a different way. You know, and I get it. Some doctors may say, well, I'm just doing my job and this is what I've seen. However, it's still not, there's so many, spontaneous healings and so many different things that have happened to people, where they've healed themselves of stage 4 cancers and done all kinds of stuff. And obviously there's the reverse of that where that hasn't happened, and everybody has a different, path. But with the technology these days and the amount of information, anything I believe is possible.
Okay, so this is so much fun, and we have to get to who you are today and all the different things that you do. This is just, you are stunning. I tried looking you up and Googling you, and it was just like, wow. How often do you didn't know that?
I know.
How often do you go to India now?
Well, pre-COVID, it was once a year at least, because we do a lot of buying there, for our business. But I did just go for my birthday because I had an auspicious birthday, and I went literally for 3 days just to go to the temple, bow my head, dip in the holy waters, be with some my family. We all went over there and, prayed, meditated, got into that energy and vibration, and came back.
3 days. How many hours did you have to fly?
Well, originally I was going to be more in the air traveling than I was going to be on the ground, but then I ended up staying one extra day because my nephew was also with us, and he got to play music in the temple for his first time. So it was like, oh, I can't miss this.
No, you can't.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, typically once a year. Maybe it'll start to become more depending on the business needs and all that.
Okay. So what are all the businesses that you are in?
Mainly, I own a brand called Sikh Money, which is a lifestyle brand that sells furnishings, home decor, and jewelry. I grew up in the jewelry business, and then I also do real estate.
Okay.
That's the main things. My parents also, they own a Mataji's Vegetarian Kitchen, which is a vegetarian and vegan restaurant that's all gourmet international foods, all prepared to go. It's like home cooked meals from my mom, but to go.
And it is phenomenal. No kidding. It is so good.
Yeah, so that's really it.
Well, that's a lot. You're saying that's really it. No big deal.
I'm just saying it's like real estate and my businesses of, retail stores.
Right. Okay, so tell me more about your retail stores.
So I grew up in the jewelry trade. My parents had a wholesale jewelry business for 35 years. And the funny thing is when I was growing up with them, I was like, there's no way I want anything to do with this business. I want to be in the NBA. I want to be a movie director. Like those were my dreams. I loved movies. And somehow it ended up being that I'm the only one of the 3 kids that's still doing this business that's in jewelry and furnishings.
That's fun.
So when they closed their business because of the recession back in 2008, 2009, they closed in about 2010. In 2008, me and my sister decided we wanted to start our own wholesale jewelry business. And then about a year into that, I said, well, I want to open up this retail store because we were doing wholesale, but I wanted to really develop a brand that was known. And for 35 years, my parents were always doing private label from anywhere from like literally TJ Maxx to like making jewelry for the Pope, John Paul II.
Wow.
And so, but they had done everything in between, the Smithsonian, Coldwater Creek, TJ Maxx, Ross, like they did it all, Aman Resorts. So it was like from the lowest of the low to pretty high-end jewelry. But we were never known really for our brand. It was just we were the designers and creators. So I decided I wanted to create the brand. When I wanted to open the retail store, my whole family thought, oh, you're crazy. Like, why do you want to do retail? I was like, well, this is what I want to do. So I started in Nob Hill on the same street that I was born on, 105 Amherst, and I was born at 219 Amherst. So then it has just slowly evolved. We always sold small home decor items. Then everybody wanted to take a piece home or make their home feel like our store. So then naturally evolved because I have a friend that I also went to school with in India that had been importing furniture from, here from India for 15 years. So then I was like, oh, there's a space across the street. Let's do more of the imports now too. And then it turned into the home store and the jewelry store. Now it's crossing over into more of the lifestyle lane of like everything that we do and create is very intentional, whether it's your space, designing your environment. And now we're incorporating the science of Vastu Shastra, which is the science of Indian architecture, right? So like feng shui, but the Indian version and a much older version. It's 6,000 years old. So like the placement of things in your home and how to create your home or your workspace so that it brings more peace, happiness, and prosperity into your life. Who doesn't want more of that, right? So there's a very specific way to create the energy in the home to be able to do that. Or in the workplace, to the two things that it really does is one, it creates better relationship between employer, employee, and also clients, and promote business growth. So that's from the design standpoint of the furniture and the furnishings and spaces. Then from the jewelry standpoint, it's about, designing for people, creating something that people really connect to their essence, that either reminds them of something or makes them feel a certain way, right? Like enhances them in some way by using the natural powers of these gemstones to assist them on their path so that they can be more successful in whatever it is that they're choosing to do.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're very much in alignment on everything that you're doing.
It seems to be happening.
That's a very good thing. It's a very good thing. So what brought you into real estate?
I think I've always had a passion for real estate and for business. I was able to buy my first investment property when I was like 18.
What?
Yeah, and the reason for that was, I didn't go and finance, like I went and got a mortgage, but when I was 18 and 19, I happened to take some incredible pictures of the Golden Temple that had never been taken before, and I decided to sell them. And I made some really good money selling my photography, at certain events. And so I took that money, saved it to put a down payment on a home that I would then turn into a rental. And so I always had that passion. And then later on, having the home store and, realizing I could help people furnish their homes, I could help them buy their homes or help them sell and stage their homes. It just felt like it was in natural alignment and a vertical to be able to do that.
Okay. So how did you end up aligning with someone as amazing as Ashley Schaefer?
That's a divine intervention.
Tell me more.
That's one of my favorite stories, actually. So I have a friend, and this was in my...
One second. Ashley Schaefer is his team leader. Sorry. In case you don't know, in real estate, sometimes there's teams, and she's his team leader.
Yeah. So I had a friend, they wanted to sell their house. I think I was maybe a year into the business, and I ended up going to see their house. They ended up also talking to Ashley at that point. And I actually didn't feel like I wanted to sell their house because the wife had, it seemed like they were under a lot of pressure and like wanted to get it done and like, do it fast. And so I didn't really follow up with them, but like intentionally. And so then I did follow up maybe about a week later, just saying, hey, just want to make sure you're taken care of, or you've made it, you know what you guys are doing. And she's like, oh yeah, I actually met this person. Her name is Ashley. Or she said, actually, she didn't even say, I don't know if she said Ashley or not, but she said, yeah, she was just so wonderful. And she told me all this stuff, and she just spoke so like glowing about her. And I was like, yeah, that's who I want to align myself with, right? And it wasn't like, oh, I'm so disappointed that, they didn't choose me. I don't even know that they ended up selling that house. But it was more like, oh, all of a sudden, like the light went on in my brain, like, because there was a part of me that didn't want to be the guy, I wanted to be with a team and with somebody and let somebody else make all the hard decisions, because I'm already the guy in my business, in my field. I didn't want that twice. And so the idea just started coming like, oh, maybe I should join a team. And I didn't join a team originally because everybody said to me, oh, you have your own leads already. You don't need to join a team. You don't need to do this. You don't need to do that. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was just kind of listening, but then it made more sense to join a team. And so I interviewed with her and somebody else, and we just totally hit it off. And the rest is kind of history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good history and a good future too.
Yeah, a great future. There were other like nuances and like signs and things that kind of pointed in that direction too. And it was just, it really was a beautiful kind of synergy that was created pointing me to go in that direction. And we totally hit it off. And this was like right as COVID started too.
Crazy times.
Yes.
How important is having a mentor?
I think having a mentor and a teacher is everything. I think that we're always influenced by our environments and the company we keep. And so it's either going to push you beyond your limits and grow you, or it's going to suppress you and you're going to have this ceiling and this limitation. Or you're just not going to get into the things that are going to propel you. Mm-hmm. So having a mentor, I have many mentors in all different areas of my life. And I think that's key to being well-rounded and successful in, life in general. Not just one area. Anybody can be successful in one area. It's about how do you honor every aspect of your life, your hobbies, your joys, your profession, your spiritual life, your relationships, all those things.
How do you do that?
I think intention is important, having the awareness that that's what you want to actually do, but sometimes you can only be where you are, most of the time you can.
I think always, right?
Yeah. So, but sometimes you want to be where you aren't, right? So, but you can only be where you are. And what I mean by that is like, when you're ready to hear something, when you're ready to learn something, then it will happen. But until then, you're kind of stuck in that area of the known, which is fine. But it's the unknown where like all the beauty and the magic and the excitement and the joy happens, right? So if you don't, like, for example, so we'll talk about meditation. People don't know that there's, and it's becoming more well-known, but they didn't know back in the day what meditation could do for them, right? And now people are learning here within the office. We're teaching the meditation class, and it's like, oh, I didn't know that through my breath, I can actually have better health. I can be more engaged. It will make me more present. I can be more happy. And beyond that, I actually didn't even know how to breathe properly. And I didn't even know that I should develop a relationship with my breath. So it's like once that awareness starts to kick in, then you can choose what you want to do with it.
It is pretty amazing. And you do this breath meditation work every first Thursday of the month?
Yes, for Keller Williams, yes.
At what time?
9:30.
At 9:30. Guys, if you would like the link, let me know, and we will hook you up with a link. And I'm telling you, it is not anything what you think it's going to be. It's not what you expect. How do you describe it?
I don't know. How would you describe it? You're the one who attends the class.
It is. It's just. It's like no one else is around when you get going. There's a bunch of people in the room, and we're all doing these crazy, and we're making noises with our breath and everything. And it's like you really get into it, and it's freeing. I don't know how to describe it. I really don't. And I went to be polite, honestly, at the beginning.
Yeah.
I was just being polite. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll be polite and I'll come to this. Now I hate when I have to miss. I mean, I literally hate missing because it's like something that you're doing for you. Like you care about you enough to say, okay, I matter and I'm going to do this for myself, even if I don't understand it. Sometimes, guys, some of my biggest jumps have been when I just said, okay, someone I respect says this works, so I'm going to try it. That's what I'm asking you to do. Just try it and see what it does for you. And so how long do you think someone has to meditate? How often before they feel the effects?
I mean, I think it can be instantaneous, as you've experienced in the class. You know, you might instantly feel more peaceful. You might instantly feel more angry. Whatever it is that needs to come up. I mean, the truth is meditation is the same thing as taking a shower. Okay? So what I mean by that is you take a shower to clean your physical body. Meditation is what cleans and cleanses the subconscious mind, which is where all the garbage is stored, right? All the traumas that you had growing up, maybe even yesterday, whatever it is that you hold on to that's not really serving you, or maybe it is still serving you, but you're ready to let it go, right?
Right.
How do you clean the subconscious mind? Through meditation. How do you clean out all the garbage that comes in every day, known or unknown? You don't know what's coming at you. I mean, there's so much in this day and age with the technology and the social media and the movies and the subliminal messaging and the this news and the that news. How do you develop the own internal strength and peace amidst all that chaos? What tools do you have to be able to remain steady in the home of your own self? And meditation is one of those tools.
I heard you say it once, and I have said it because I tell everybody they need to come to your class. I heard you say meditation is like a shower for your brain. Mm-hmm. And that, tell me you wouldn't like a shower for your brain. I mean, come on. It is bombarded constantly. And just to stop, even if you weren't breathing, to just stop and let it, give it a minute. It's so incredible. How often is appropriate for a life? You do it every single day?
I mean, do you shower every day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I would say so.
More than once a day if you're going through extra stuff?
I think it's just depends on what you're able to do. I'm not one, at this time in my life, I'm not one to say anybody should or shouldn't meditate. It's really about what experience of this human existence do you want to have, right? So if you don't practice any meditation and you're just getting started, intention is more important than intensity. So start with 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 11 minutes, whatever it is that doesn't feel like too much, but gets you going. And then if you want to build on that, then build on that,
I love that. We talk about that in coaching all the time, guys. If you're going to start running a marathon, you don't start by running a mile. You start by walking out to the mailbox, some people, right? So same thing here. Just create the habit, and then the habit will carry you. All right, so
I would like to add something to that. I think it's important to understand the motivation on why you're choosing to do something, because that will carry more weight to it than if you just say you want to do it. Well, why do you want to do it? I mean, and what's it going to do for you, and making sure you connect to that purpose, because motivation comes and goes, right? And it's really easy to, start to feel lazy, start to feel unmotivated. Most people, they try something new, they get so inspired and excited, and then as that dwindles, so does their practice, instead of understanding that it is an ebb and flow. And some days you're going to have a great experience and other days you're not. And that's okay. The important thing is just to remain steady and consistent through that.
Why do you do this for us? Why do you come here every month and do this for us?
Well, because it's a way to give back to the community and share. And, my spiritual teacher, said he came to create teachers, not students. So, and what he meant by that was, how can I share this enough that it shares with other people that then they can share it, and that continues to build. It's about sharing the technology and the awareness and the consciousness of these practices that will really help minimize human suffering, not eliminate, but minimize it.
Absolutely. So where is most human suffering? As far not what location geographically, but
The mind.
Thank you. And I know that sounds ridiculous. I get it. It sounds ridiculous. However, if you're suffering right now, if you're going through something right now, and you're really seriously suffering, the fact that you're still watching this is awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. And listen and just try it. Just try it, because the whole point is to like you said, cleanse all that nastiness, get it out of there, and then you get to start fresh. Right? Is that pretty much it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Books, podcasts, anything you recommend?
I mean, I think Dr. Joe Dispenza has some great books that really are helping people, and he's helped me a lot too. He has a few books, one called You Are the Placebo, and 2, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And then the third one is Becoming Supernatural. And he actually explains meditation in a very beautiful way and in a contemporary language that people can relate to. So I would say those are awesome.
Okay.
I haven't read them all. I've just gone to his workshops, and I have read most of Becoming Supernatural, but I'm familiar with the teachings of it.
Okay. Joe Dispenza is the place to look.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think any podcast that's, I listen to everybody. I listen to Tony Robbins. I listen to Brendan Burchard. I listen to Lewis Howes. Any of these people, anybody who's going to give you material that uplifts you or gives you hope or motivates you or shares something new with you, I think they're all great. And I also think Sadhguru, he does really beautiful work too.
Who?
Sadhguru. Look him up.
Okay.
He's always being interviewed on different podcasts. He's also
I know who he is.
Yeah.
I know who he is.
Yeah.
The long white beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I thought you were saying yourself.
No.
I was like, he does beautiful work. You should see the jewelry.
Yeah.
You should check it out. All right, guys, please do go down and check out the jewelry store and the furniture store and meet Sat Gurumukh and his beautiful family. They will make you feel like you are family immediately, instantly. I met your dad once. My husband and I were walking downtown, and we were going to lunch, or we had just left lunch. I think we had just left lunch. And we just saw the menu on the thing, and it's like, oh, I'm a vegan. There's a vegetarian and vegan. And so I was out there, and your dad came out, and he's like, why do you come in here? Come in. And he's like making us taste everything. And he didn't know me from Adam. And it just was like, I went to his home. It was wonderful. So please go check it out, guys. Any last words of wisdom for our listeners?
It's a good question. I think it's just important to start. Wherever you're at, just start. You're listening to this podcast for a reason and an intention of enhancing your life or activating it in some way. And whether it's from meditation or exercise or a dream that you've wanted to fulfill or a new job that you want to start, whatever it is, just start. When you start, then the pressure will be off.
That's great advice, guys. Thanks.